Oh, all you Trekkies and TV addicts. What is going on, brother?
Not much, man. I got the lucky largemouth fishing shirt on.
Large mouths in the house. Is that your new
Yeah.
hat? I think you should wear that. That looks stunning.
I don't know. Judy got it in Florida. It's some like
Bring deep. Bring. What does that say?
I don't know, but
I
it's got a
can't.
large mouth on the back.
I can. I
Can
can
you,
barely read when it's in front of me. No, joking.
you see the
Large
large?
mouth bat. Yes, I
Oh
do.
my!
That's very nice. It's nice.
The sun shirt.
I like sun shirts.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
especially when I'm on the water and can't tell it now because I've lost a lot of my color. But man, all the time down south, I've heard a certain shade I've never seen before.
Yeah, well, I think that your shirt is a great segue into today's episode. Welcome, everyone, to the Hacker Outdoors podcast. My name is Michael Hacker, and this is Joey McCormick. He's joining you with his lovely blonde locks and his largemouth bass t shirt. Of course, we would be remiss to miss a week or two or three or however long it's been.
Yeah. Well,
Last week we talked about Tough Mudder. Tough Mudder was, we busted its balls a little bit, but it was an awesome event. But we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about fishing, because I think I've been bad at posting. You've been bad at posting. We've been busy. We've done a hell of a lot of fishing, and people are asking, and I'm not making this up. People have reached out to me and said, so where did Joe end up this year in the tournament?
season's not done yet. Season's far from done. I have a big event at Lake Murray, September 25th and 26th. That's the 2-day South Carolina MLF, Major League Fishing, BFL. They call it, I think it's their 2-day championship. Lake Murray next Friday and Saturday. So that's a big one right now. And those overall standings, I think my great friend Brendan Gunther, who I travel with for that division and fish with, I think he is sitting either in second or third overall. Coming down to it, I'm going to check right now, and I think I'm tied for like 10th.
Jeez.
Overall, there's a couple of us up there at the top. So this 2-day down there is really kind of a huge deal for the both of us.
Listen, I'm not saying I hope you knock Brennan out, but all
So
I'm saying is you are my cousin.
Brennan is sitting in third, and he is 4 points out of the overall lead.
Wow.
Even though
So
he's
it's still really anyone's game. 4 points is doable in a 2-day tournament.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am sitting. I could finish within the top 10. Yeah. And I love Lake Murray. Brennan loves Lake Murray. Brennan actually, I think, last Lake Murray event when it snowed, what was that, in February? February 13th?
Yeah.
I think he ended up finishing, let's see here, 2021.
So you're not saying that Brennan owns Lake Murray. You're just saying
He ended up
owns
second
Lake Murray
in that event. I think he lost by mere ounces, and I was in the top 20.
So not out of it. This is huge.
No, this is huge. Well, so the next part is getting to the regionals, which I will. There's no if ands or buts about it. I've already qualified for that regional, which will be on the St. Johns River. I forget the exact date, but sometime in October. And from there, if you finish in a certain percentage, you get to go.
What was the river again?
It's the St. Johns River.
Johns. Okay.
Let me see. Let me look at that schedule. So out of all the divisions there's regionals. There's a total of 6 regionals for the whole country for all the different overall divisions. And how many? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Looks like there's 20 overall divisions. And then after that, there's 6 regionals. And from the 6 regionals, they take a certain amount of people to fish. It's called the Major League Fishing BFL All-American, which is, a lot of pros say it's the hardest tournament to qualify for and make in the world. Um, it's up there with the classic. It's very, 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 very hard to make. Only a select handful get to make that. Um, so that's what we're fishing for when we go to St. John's, which I've already qualified for that regional.
Mhm.
And I think if you finish in the top 10 in that, it's either top 10 or top 6, get to go on to the BFL All American, which there's big name pros out there who haven't made that
Wow.
that
Where's
event.
that? Where's that tournament?
It's October 21st and the 23rd in Palaca, Florida. The BFL All American. I don't think they've announced that yet.
I heard it's on the Passaic River here in New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen.
They usually don't announce that to a little bit later, which should be interesting. Which it kind of stinks for me is senior day for Riley. Actually, I think is for field hockey is on the 21st.
Listen, she'll understand.
So I might actually have to not fish the regional, which we'll get there when we get there. But
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Listen, I've got a wig here that I can wear, and I'll fish on your behalf.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
well, I'm going to call MLF. Yeah, senior day is the 21st.
Hmm.
Maybe I can miss day 1 and try to make up for it day 2. I don't know. Or I'll have to go fish the wild card. Try to make it into the wild card.
So overall,
That hurts.
yeah, that hurts. That's nice chest. Yeah, no one needs to see that. Everyone, if you're watching, you need to mute that. You're like those people at the Tough Mudder. Is that what put it?
That's what put it in my mind.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, making the regional is a big thing because in your division, so the regionals combined, if there's 20, there's 6 regionals. I think it's 3 different divisions fish each regional, 3 or 4. And you have to be a certain percentage. I think they have 250 boats total. So I think it's a top 45 go from each division.
Okay.
Which Brennan and I are both guaranteed from the South Carolina division to make that. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. We both made it.
Okay.
And that one's at the St. John's River, which.
So let's if we can, how do you feel as though fishing this summer was? I've got my feelings on it. I'd like to hear yours. And as we wind down summer here, right? It's September 15th today that we're filming this, but it's still technically summer. Do you think it was a good year? A good season?
I've done really well down south. I've caught so many fish down south, a ton of fish. Early season on the bay, I was catching a ton of fish. It's been good. It's been good. Yeah, I've caught a lot of fish this year. Thinking back on it,
Yeah.
This year I've done a lot of my fishing down south. The majority of it, honestly, has been down south, and I caught a ton of fish down there.
What about size-wise? Do you think the size was there?
Yeah, where I was fishing, yeah, it's been a lot of size. I've caught a lot of good size fish this year.
Yeah. I kind of have mixed feelings, and I feel like if I could inject myself into it for a moment here, I feel as though I didn't get to fish this much as I did last year, right? For work reasons and life reasons gets in the way. I think last year, what did I say? I hit almost half of my target species. And that's a lifetime target species list. So that's pretty damn good for the living here in the tri-state area, which is cool. But this year I'd say that I didn't get as many bass as I thought I would. And I've gone a couple times, but I also started targeting other fish, which takes time, right? So I spent 3 of my few fishing trips I took this year going for carp, which I might be the only person in the world that doesn't catch carp, just like I did with the catfish last year. But I feel as though it was tougher conditions. I don't know if it was the the rain washing things out in the rivers here. We had a lot of
You
rain.
guys have had a ton of rain. So I haven't been affected by all that rain.
Yeah.
If you want to share screen, I mean, I could show you some of my catches this year.
Yeah, let's run
Let's
through it because that's awesome, and I love to do that. And let's make this the all around fish show because
let's see.
it'll be good to do that, and we can kind of
I
shoot the shit
can't
a little
share.
bit.
I'm
Oh
not
wait,
trusted. I'm not trusted to share
hold
for
on.
good reason.
Yeah, of
Good
course,
reason.
always good reasons. There you go. You
Okay.
should be all right now.
Okay. Let's see here. Come on, get off there. So if we start, let's see, Lake Murray.
I don't know why it popped up over here. Hold on.
Can you see it?
Yeah, hold on. There we go. Look at that Lake Murray. Yeah, that
Lake
was
Murray was
when was this?
good, cold, snowing.
Oh, that was
February.
14th.
Well, that was the day after. The tournament was on the 13th.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. Let's see. The Potomac. The days I was out in the Potomac, surprisingly, I caught quite a bit of fish.
Yeah.
Santee. There's beautiful Santee Cooper, which is rated
Beautiful.
the number 3, I think, best bass fishing lake in the world. I did well there.
Yeah.
Here's a event on the Delaware. I think I took second or third. That's good sized fish for the Delaware. Got the bay. Good little bag. Let's see what else
Yeah.
we got. Don't you love this? How you can tell it's me.
Love the colors. Go back to that last one, and yes, your sunglasses. Look at the colors.
Another tournament on the bay on that Smalley. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been
The pugs.
pugs. My favorite event so far was Hartwell, which I finished. Took a check home.
And you again
There's your
can tell it's you
spots.
because your eyes are closed and your sunglasses are
They're crooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good bag of spots. That's a good spot.
Yeah, it's a pretty fish, man.
This was a good bag in the bay.
Yeah.
That's a big bass right there, boy.
Wait. Can we ask for a moment here? Are you holding your arms all the way out?
They're not all the way out. They're bent
Just
a little bit, but they're out. That's a big bass right there.
I was gonna say how big is that bass? Because that's a nice looking fish.
That was a 4-pounder there.
That's a nice fatty. Look at the gut
yeah.
on that.
Yeah. So I mean, I caught. I mean, tons of fish this year.
Look at bass finger. Come on,
bass finger. Where's that good one from? Carolina.
That one isn't that one.
There's this one. I mean, that's
a big guy, man.
That wasn't the biggest. This one. That was a big chunker. It's been good. I've caught a lot of bass, but as you can see, most of my pictures are down south for the most part.
Well, you went out onto your local
reservoir
spot
a couple times, yeah.
And you didn't do great, right? You had some issues with the wind, and I feel like that's similar to the issues that I had. Kind of just conditions just weren't great. Now I know guys were catching stuff and gals were catching stuff, and
I mean, I would go out and catch a limit. Yeah, I would go catch a limit each day, but I've had this conversation a million times on here. Those boats you rent there, the power of their motors.
Yeah.
When that wind starts going on, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You need an Ultrex or, a decent trolling motor, which they don't have.
Yeah, of course.
It all goes back to the fact that we need to get boats.
I revisited this conversation, and then it turned from I need a boat. I need a car to tow the boat.
By next September, I will have my bass boat.
Listen, just pull the trigger, man. We've got to.
Well, I'm moving. This is my last, not even now a full year in Maryland. Next year, this time, South Carolina should be my full-time residence. And when I sell the house up here, I'll pull the trigger, and I'll do it then. Makes much more sense to me.
Yeah,
I would love to be fishing my divisions next year as a boater, but financially, it probably makes more sense waiting to sell the house to.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That makes sense.
Trigger.
To me. I go back and forth on the boat thing, man, and between. I think we talked about this a little bit, and I don't remember if it was just you and me or if I talked about it at all on the podcast, but go back and forth between wanting a bass boat and wanting an ocean boat or a bay boat. How
much would you be able to use that bay boat? I guess being in Jersey, you could more, but then you're kind of limiting yourself to bay fishing.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, I don't know if I'd eat anything out of the Raritan Bay anyway, right? So it's like, do you then say like, okay, well, am I going to get an actual ocean boat and drive out, 100 miles to, I think it's 30 miles to the nearest reef, far enough to hopefully have some of that pollution diminish? But
There's a lot of, in my opinion, to be able to do that, you need to have time on the water, that type of water experience, because when you start getting in the world of going out in the ocean,
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of time on the water is really needed to, in my opinion, I wouldn't hop on somebody's boat who's never done it and just got one and say, hey, let's run 5 miles offshore, because a lot of stuff can change out there, like, like this. It can on any of these big lakes,
yeah, agreed.
or,
It's just a little bit more controlled, and it's
yeah.
scary. I couldn't imagine being on the Great Lakes when the weather turns. It's
Oh,
like it's a
it's scary.
massive, yeah. But you think of even the bodies of water that we fish, like the smaller lakes, we'll say smaller lakes, when that wind picks up and you're not in a good place and you got to make your way back, that is not that's not a good position to be in.
A lot
I've
of that
told the
comes to
story.
time on the water and also being smart.
Yeah.
You don't want to hammer down when there's 4 foot seas and doing 60, 70 miles per hour spearing waves, because it's not going to end great for you.
No, no, agreed. So I go back and forth on that. Let's kind of stay on that target. So I've got experience on boats in younger days, I'll say, but I definitely do not have it in my adult age. So I'd like to, at least get my feet wet and start it. But I, I just toy with the idea of saying I just want a kayak for the rivers and lakes. Um, don't go chasing waterfalls. I guess is the
Let's see. I'm all in for both, because what I'm
yeah,
trying to do with tournament angling,
yeah, yeah,
you know, there comes a point, and Brent and I had this discussion so much. We've been fishing so long, our whole lives basically, that we want to lose on our terms. Co-angling is a great way to get into tournament angling, but you're not making the decisions. You're not controlling the boat. You're not taking the boat to where you think the fish are. You're depending on your boater to do that. And that can be tricky sometimes. And just like any sport, if you lose, you want to lose because you made the bad calls, you made the bad decisions. Um, it's tough, and then some people get all hyped thinking if they draw a pro boater, how much better life's going to be drawing a pro. Well, let me tell you, fishing behind a pro is very, very hard to do, because they do not miss a lot of fish. If there's fish in those areas, they're getting first crack at them. They're not leaving much for you. Um, so co-angling is a tricky game.
well,
It's
I've said this to you countless times, right? Like, it has to be one of the most difficult things to do is to be on someone else's boat, and it's not like you and I going out fishing together. Like,
right.
I'll lean to you and say, I don't know, what do you think? Like, if it's a body of water, or if it's a new body of water to both of us, maybe we both put our brains together, we'll get on some fish. But um, you really do need a boat, and we're in different places when it comes to that. So I'm empathetic to your plight, if you
Yeah,
will.
it's
And
tough. It can make you want to
yeah,
bang your head in the wall, because there's occasions like, let's say I don't know, it's a tournament on the Bay of the Potomac, and I drill a guy who doesn't have a lot of time on the Bay of the Potomac. There's a good chance, I'd say 50-50, they would ask my opinions and what I should think, just because I have a knowledge of the water around there, and sometimes they listen to it. And there's other times you get guys who it's tunnel vision. It's like, this is it. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. And then you might get guys who aren't, they're fishing tournaments, who aren't as serious as you are, about doing your best and winning. Some guys, it's hard to explain. Some guys are just out there for a day, and if it happens, it happens. Where a lot of us are out there because, I'm not going to lie, I want to win. I want to beat everybody's ass. I want to go home with the check. And
I had this conversation. I don't know if you watch tennis at all, but I like watching tennis. Maybe one of the few sports I do like watching. We watch U.S. Open, and Novak Djokovic was, if I pronounce his name correctly, congratulations. If not, oh well, this is how I slaughter words. He was up for pretty much an amazing record, right? 21 Grand Slams, which hasn't been done in 50
God
plus
knows how
years.
long. Yeah.
Yeah, so um, he was going up against this Russian, and he goes, the Russian's like, I wish him the best of luck, but I'm here to win. I said to Don, I was like, part of me, as an outsider, says like, man, like if I was in that position, I'd be almost like he is one of the greatest tennis players of all time, and you want him to win. But how do you go if you're all friends with each other? You like go in there, and you're like, I really want you to have this moment, but I want to have my own moment as well. Like that's like the difference between the personalities of the pros and the personalities of everybody else. Like, they say Kelly Slater, for example, is the nicest person in the world on
When
land.
it comes time to compete, he wants to win. That's
He's
how I
gonna,
was raised, and I think more people should be raised. If you're competing and you want to compete, you're not there to get. Ricky Bobby says it best: if you're not first, you're last.
yeah,
Fishing's a little different because you know there's great pro fishermen who might never ever win an event, but they're there and they're making a living off it. It's very hard to win back to back to back events in fishing.
yeah,
But I want to go out there. I want to beat everybody. I want to come in with the biggest bag. And if that's not the mentality I'm going out there with, that I want to catch a solid limit and go up there and cash a check, then to me, what's the point? I mean, you saw this week the money that goes into it just for these BFLs. It's not cheap,
yeah,
not cheap at all, and especially with gas is high now. It's not cheap when you're driving 8 hours to fish an event. It's
yeah.
expensive.
Especially in your Kia,
Yeah, and my Kia, exactly. My Geo
yeah,
Prism.
your Geo
But
Prism. I mean, you're
I had a
getting
good year.
70 miles to the gallon, but you did have a good year, and I think I had a good year too. And most recently this past weekend, I caught my first fluke of my adult life. Like it brought back so many memories and nostalgia, like going fluking with my grandfather as growing up as a kid, and God rest his soul. But like it was cool. Like I'm into different types of fishing than you are, and I think as anglers we sometimes get so stuck into the type of fishing we are for so long. I was like, I need to
Well,
just do trout. I just need to do trout. I just need to do trout. And I've branched out from that, but you were so gung ho on bass, and I'm so like chasing the dragon, so to speak, of different
because
species.
I have an end goal. I have a dream. I want to be able to do this for a living,
Right.
and you can't go into something like that just trying to be okay. You got to be the best. I always say it. Brendan and I, Lake Murray is not this weekend; it's the following weekend. For the past 3 weeks, when we talk, which is daily, it's about all right. What should we do? What should we get? How this that? But it's all about laser focus. When my last tournament ended, that tournament, they say you get 10 hours to not even a couple hours to dwell on it, and then it's
On to the
laser
next one.
focus on the next one.
Yeah. And you did dwell a little bit on this last tournament.
I get our new rule is we gave it about an hour and a half, 2 hours,
Yeah, and I
and
didn't
then
hear anything about it again. Yeah.
then him and I discussed good things that came from our past tournaments, and I didn't lose my hat. That was a good one. It fell in the water. I got it back. That was a good point from that one. Um, I made it home safely.
There you go.
The weather was nice.
The weather was nice. That's always a good thing to
Um,
reflect on. Yeah.
so, but next year, my next season, I don't think I'll be fishing the Northeast Division. I think I'm going to stick to the South Carolina and the Savannah Division, and maybe throw a couple Piedmont divisions in. Just the amount of driving for the Northeast Division is insane. Most of these, so Major League Fishing has the BFLs. Most of the BFLs, you're fishing. The furthest away is maybe one state. So if you're in South Carolina, you might fish Georgia. You might fish North Carolina.
Yeah.
The Northeast Division literally encompasses Maryland to Maine. That's that whole division. So you could be fishing anywhere in there, and those drives up there are just they beat the hell out of you. It's a
Yeah.
lot of driving.
Well, you were saying even from my house to where you were, I mean, it was like
It's a long drive.
that's a long. Like I've been up there. It's that is not an easy drive either.
I
That
was
is
literally in the most northwestern part of New York, and the last hour and a half of the trip, you're driving up the river and like literally river Canada. I mean, you're right there. I mean, on the Canadian line. I actually saw a Tim Hortons, whatever that place is called. You know, they have them in Canada, like this fast
Yeah,
food.
yeah,
Never
yeah.
saw one. Actually, north of the Canadian, the bridge that goes from the U.S. to Canada from there, north of that. And there's a guy I know who actually doesn't live too far from you, and it took him 6.5 hours, where it took me 7.5.
Yeah, that is a long, long, long drive, man.
Yeah.
I was telling you today, we were talking about Myrtle Beach, and I said I wouldn't. I don't think I would drive it.
But see, that
I'd
drive down
fly.
there is different because it's 95, and you can do.
Yeah, but you got to understand from here,
Yeah,
right? Like I'm dealing with Philly, I'm dealing with
DC,
Delaware, I'm dealing with DC, I'm dealing with
Baltimore.
Richmond, well, Baltimore,
Yeah.
DC area, and then that's like 3 to 4 hours alone. Once you get past that, I mean, I think we told the story about how quickly I made it to Florida. Like, once you get past that, if you don't hit traffic on that route, you're golden, man. Like, yeah, you're on 95, you're great, but you got to get through those areas. So I fly. I mean, it's an hour flight, right? Hour, 10 minutes or something
But
like that.
see, they released a schedule for the Northeast BFLs next year, and for some reason we have back-to-back tournaments on the Potomac. It's like the first one's the Potomac, the second one's the Potomac. Then after that, I think it was the St. Lawrence all the way in Messina. Then it was Champlain,
Mm,
and then Cayuga. Cayuga is
mm,
not a terrible drive, but Champlain and St. Lawrence, they're 8.5 hours for me. When
yeah,
the furthest drive for me for the South Carolina division this year was 7.5.
right, right.
And it's an easier drive for me because it's 95 straight shot. If I leave 3, 4 in the morning, I'm there by 11 in the
you're
afternoon,
you're
noon.
psychotic. You leave in the middle of the night, and so
Well, there's no
that's
traffic, and then Brendan, we camp. You get your gear
right,
set up. It's much easier.
right.
And that's the other thing. Up north, the prices of hotels and campgrounds are. I considered a campground to go up a day earlier for this past one, and they wanted like $110
You
for
need
one.
you need a rooftop camper. Just pull over on the side of the road.
Well, I sleep in the back of the Jeep. When Brendan and I camp at these campsites, we sleep in the back of our vehicles. We got rollouts. I mean, it is set up like so comfortable. But for 2 nights at a campsite down, it's $30 each we pay.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, yeah.
Well, I think that's about it, Joe. We're coming towards the end here, man. We'll have that's a nice eye sound you have there.
Well, we can do an update from Lake Murray next week.
Yeah, that would be the goal,
Great
man.
tournament.
That'll be the goal.
Kind
I
of see what Brendan and
have.
I got set up for it.
I'm trying to see what I got next week. I was trying to get out fishing this weekend, but I don't think it's going to happen. We're getting close to trout season again, so
Yeah.
I'll start doing some fly fishing again. Got to crack out the old GoPro. Like I said, I caught some fluke. It's overall pretty decent summer, man. Catfish,
I think you caught more
bass.
fish this year than you did last year.
I don't know, man. I caught almost one of every species last year. Keep in mind, although I did catch a ton of bass. And when I did the river float trip this year, I got skunked.
That was really high
Where
water too, though.
it was super high. But I did last year when I did it, like the dozen or so times that I had the free time to do it. I mean, we were catching 5, 6 fish at least. I mean, that one day we had almost like 20 to 30. He's getting it. Get that fly. Get it.
Ah, this thing is driving me nuts.
All right.
Ugh.
Well, Joe,
How do they see you coming?
it's always a pleasure, brother.
All right,
Take
you
care
too,
of your
man.
fly.
I love you, man.
Everyone, thank you for watching, listening, and we look forward to touching base with you next week.
Make sure to rock out the Metallica and Guns and Butter.
That's right. Da-da-da-da. Good night.
Late.
Later.